Yeah, hi, hello. Welcome to next session of Angular. So, as part of our previous sessions, we have discussed about how to install Angular, right? And then how to create application in Angular. So that part we have completed, and also how to create components. Components are the basic building blocks for Angular application, where the main, what kind of data to be displayed in the page will be created in a component so that a component will contain three parts here, that is like logic and data as well as template here. So any component will contain these three parts: logic, data as well as the template, or we call this template as something like view. So to write this logic and template, we will be using a ts file, .ts file. So ts is nothing but it is like a JavaScript, right? TypeScript. So that is like a TS file. So in that, whatever the component name, assume if the component name is something like home, then home.component.ts file will be inside it. The data will be or logic will be written. So when it comes to the template or view, where we'll be having something .html file. That is, for example, same if you have something like home, then we will be having something like home component.html. This is something externally HTML will be adding, or else if we have something like internal HTML, that is like within that TS file itself we can able to write the HTML code. But the thing is like we can write some code over there, which is in the form of a limited style. That is like whenever there is a short what I can say template is the very minimum one, then we will be using that kind of approach, but mostly we'll be using this HTML stuff. Okay, external HTML will be using. Right. So yeah, I would like to open our application where we have created one or two components, right? So that I would like to open now. Now this is our main component, like where app component HTML. In that, this data is belongs to the app component, and these two are the representations for selectors for your component. So home component, if you want to display the data related to home component, here I will write like this. If you want footer, I will write. Okay, yeah, footer component. Yeah, here the footer related information I just removed in the HTML. So instead of that, where I have written is inside this TS file only. This is what as a template. This is like embed template. Like I have added that HTML inside the TS file. So to do that, first of all, what you have to do here is in this at component. This is called a metadata here. In this at component decorator, it said that metadata here instead of using template URL, here I'm using something else, simply template, and then we select data. Okay, fine. Now I just would like to run this application for an instance. So to do this, we have to use something like ng sub here. Hit enter. It will take several seconds to start. So meanwhile, we'll be discussing now one important aspect in Angular, that is, so far whatever the data we display with respect to footer or with respect to home, whatever it may be, whatever we have written here, that's like this. Whatever the data we have written here, that is simply getting displayed. But here I would like to represent something dynamically now. So that is, or in other words, I can say like whatever it is there in the TS file, that kind of data I would like to display in my HTML file. So in that way, what can be done? So that is called, there is a concept is there, and that is called data binding. That is from your TS file, binding the data to the HTML file or template file. TS file here. TS means directly sometimes we can use something called component. If I call component file means indirectly it is TS file only. If I call HTML, okay, fine. Other than that, if I call something like template file, then it is nothing but .html file. So now from TS file, I want to display the data into the HTML. So the data binding I want to perform from TS to HTML file. If we want to do that, there are different ways in which we can able to do that. So this is called one-way data binding from TS to HTML, and even we can do from HTML to TS also, that we can discuss later. But this can be done in three ways, two ways. So one of them is something like interpolation, or we call it as string interpolation. What is the string interpolation, and how we are going to achieve the string interpolation? Now we are going to say this is the symbol or syntax which we use for string interpolation. So I just would like to open that one. Still running. Taking some more time. Okay. Here string interpolation. So which means in my TS file I can have certain variables over there. Assume like some variable name. What I can say. Okay. There is some variable like something like some person, some variable is there, and for that variable, assume like I gave some value inside the TS file. Now I would like to display that variable data in my HTML files. And simply what I can do here is here you can have something like this H2 or these kind of things you will be having, right, in the HTML file means. So here you can simply display that data value of that person directly like this by inscribing that a particular variable name inside the uh, curly braces, double curly braces will be opening. Inside that we can display that variable data just by giving that variable name. Okay, as a placeholder you can give that, then that will be displayed. So just okay. This is showing like compile successfully. Now open any browser and there we can type 4200, that is the default port number. Yeah, here we can able to see this is the first thing is from your app component HTML, and second thing is from your home component HTML. The third one is from you can data like something, whatever it is, but this is from your footer. Okay. Now what I would like to do here is in my app component.html itself, here is app component.ts parents. Yeah, here, and if you look at this one, this is app component class where by default there is one variable is there. What is that variable name? Title. There is one variable called title. That what is the title is there? Whatever the application name is there, that is coming as a default title over there, right? So now what I would like to do here is in my HTML, when the data is getting displayed there on the top of everything, I would like to display something like welcome to the application name, whatever maybe our first Angular app or something is there, right? So yeah, here it's already there. Yeah, welcome to our first Angular app, but I have just normally written it. Where is my app component HTML? Yeah, here I have written in normal way. So okay, hi. Hello friends and something, welcome to our first Angular app, normally I've written, but instead of that, what exactly the name, our hyphen first hyphen Angular hyphen app, right? This is the name, right? So that also that I would like to display over there, not in terms of like this. I would like to display in uh, a different way. So that is what I want to do here is here I would like to put this like this. But only this one I want to keep under an extra. Okay, that is fine. That is not a big deal. But here, what I am writing is a very important. That is, this syntax is very important. So this indicates string interpolation, and there we have to write the variable name. So what is the variable name we gave in the TS file? Because this is my app component.html, where it will be directly connected to my app component.ts file. So this is the place where the variable name is title. The same name I can able to keep here as well. So now save this, and the changes will be made, and that is getting reloaded. Yeah. Now if you look at that one, hello friends, welcome our first Angular app, whatever it may be, but that is getting displayed over there. Same is the case with your home component also here. Just go to your home component data here. Here you have written something there, right? So in home component TS file, there is some data, but without any variables, right? So now here you can create any variable. So here you don't need to use a word called a var, the way you do in JavaScript var keyword, right? Here not required. Directly you can able to use one variable, and you can give the value to that variable, whatever the value you want to give. Yes, you can able to give. So here I'm just giving some variable name and the person, and the value I'm giving here is something like Ajay. Some value here I'm giving, and if I give like this, nothing, no change will be there in your home component, as I am not what I could say uh, using, or I am not binding this data to my HTML. Clear? So binding the data, or data binding, is nothing but data binding is like a concept where some portion of your HTML file is linked with some portion of some of the variables of your TS file, so that the change can be happen. Whatever the display can be happen. That is like that linking itself is the data binding concept, and that can be achieved in two ways. One-way data binding, next is two-way data binding. Forget about two-way data binding at this moment. We are learning one-way data binding. That too, in one-way data binding, two kinds are there. That is from TS file to HTML file. That is template. That is component to template. The other thing is HTML to TS file, or we call it as template to component. Clear? So in TS file to HTML, we have two types. One is string interpolation, and the other thing is property binding. But as of now, we are learning string interpolation. Okay. So now your parser is there, and this one I wanted to display now. So if I want to display that, go to the home component, and there uh, you can write whatever you want. So on the top of everything, I would like to write one h1 there. What I am writing, just observe. Here I am writing something like hi, and then I am opening this string interpolation over there, and there I would like to write that variable name. Person, now it is getting saved, refreshed. Yeah, you're able to see something like hi. You can do whatever you want. See, this one you want to keep under something like special, and I'm just keeping this one under a span tag here. Right, normally it won't affect much, but whatever the changes you want to do this one. So with respect to some CSS, you want to make some changes over there. Then you can take this here. By default is the color is some red color, or some color is there inside that, right? Some color, the color you want to change is a million. So now like to change that color, not for all, only for that name called Ajay. I want to give some special color over there. Yes, you can able to give. I want to give blue color for that. Okay. So that is got reflected. Right. So this is about the way we'll be transferring the data. Not only you know string data, you can able to transfer any kind of data over there. So that is not just limited to the string. Here you can able to transfer any kind of data. So as the way you displayed, you define string variable, and you transfer it in the same way. Other things also you can able to transfer over. Now instead of passing other variable, that is what I can say, some number and all. Okay, I can pass. Still, I can pass numbers. I can pass, and I can able to perform certain operations also if you want. So here I'm just passing some variables here and go to your HTML file. There, just like that I'm writing here. Addition is something like that I'm writing, and here I would like to do that addition. Simply A plus B. This one, if I want to keep under some specific color, then already for span blue color is there. So that I want to add here now. Save this. Something went wrong. What are the variable names have used there? I have to save this. Okay, the problem. I'm not doing that properly. Now just go to that one. Here you are able to see something like 234, 123 plus 11 value is something like 234, which means we are able to provide the data binding between TS file to HTML file, and the direction is from TS to HTML through string interpolation, and that binding we did with string data as well as number data. So which indicates you can do with any kind of data. Clear? Now, okay, fine. This is a normal data, or I can say a primitive data types like string or whatever it is. Now, I would like to pass something here, um, an object. I would like to take one object now. You know how to define an object, right? The way we'll be defining the object in JavaScript. So it's the same thing kind of thing. Define here in your TypeScript as well. First TypeScript is a superset for your JavaScript. What are the things you usually do in JavaScript? Same thing can be done in TypeScript. Sometimes that syntax may be a little bit different, but still you can do it. Okay. When it comes to employee, you can have certain fields for your employee object here. Here I would like to have fields over there. Here I'm writing ID, name. I'm writing one more property called place, and one more here I'm writing job. Job means what job designation, what is doing. Just I'm writing something like developer. Okay, that's it. Four things I'm just writing now. Now what I want to do here is I would like to display those data. So for that, what I'm doing here is uh, this is open H1 here. Inside that I'm just writing some span tag, and here I would like to display that. So what is the name I give for that object is that is like employee. So just click save, and now if you look at that one there, it is displaying simply object, but it is not displaying the data. Why? Because as it is an object, so directly you cannot display that data here. So instead of that, what you can do, individual property names you can able to display. As it is an employee, right? So employee will have properties. That what are the properties that an employee object as here is name, ID, place, and something like job, right? So those things you can able to display here. I can display something like name, one more is called place, and job. You can use whatever other things you want to use in between. If you want, you can, or if you want to keep it something like space only, that's it. You don't want to use anything, that also up to you. Go to browser, open the browser, and there, yeah, yes, you can able to see. So in this way, whatever the things are there, those things we can able to apply. This is about your what I can say is data binding. That is one-way data binding that too from TS file to HTML file. That is for string interpolation. Where variable names should be there simply. That data can be displayed in HTML and then pop that. There is one more way is also there, and in which we can able to do. That is called property binding. Here we call it as. So, for example, so there is something called person is there. So here I displayed that person in this way, simply like person. Instead that I would like to do that as something is property binding. So for that, what I'm doing here is here I'm just taking one input box, just open that one. You look at that one here. By default, no data is there inside that. Whatever we enter, that will be the data. So I think HTML where value is the property to which the whatever the data entered by the user dynamically, the data will be taken into that property called value. So if I give anything like whatever the thing, if I give here, for example, something like some Ravi or something I'm giving, then whatever if I give here, that will be taken as a default value. Whatever if I give here, that yeah. You can able to see this, right? So this is something like Ravi, which I have not added, but directly it is coming because the default value will be something like Ravi. Whatever you write here, that will be coming as something like a default value here. So here I am writing something like this, your name. So then that something like your name will come as a default value, right? You're able to see something like this. Now what I am doing here is this value here I am writing it. Instead of writing here, what I would like to do here is that value I want to get from TS file. So what is the variable name person, right? So I would like to write something like person now. Save this, just go to. But if you look at this, it won't be. Why? Because the way you write something like enter name or some name Ravi, in the same way it will consider person also. PRSON, that is simply that value it will be there. No, I don't want to do like that. So whatever the value is there in the person, that value should be displayed here, right? So for that, if you write normal, it will not work. So for that, we have to use a special notation there instead of using a normal, attribute name. We have to use something like this. Now you are able to see something inside that text box. Some Ajay as something like some default name, default value. That parenthesis, like that brackets. What we have used here is this one. Rectangular braces. Some people call square braces. So using this pair of curly braces is for or flower braces is for string interpolation, whereas this one is for property. Not only you can use it here. So here I'm using something like H2. Yeah, for elements like H2 or paragraph and all there, you'll be having an extra attribute will be there that is like something called inner text here. So don't know that will work for this H2 or not. Okay, I will try here for this the inner text here I'm writing equals to here I'm just writing something like person. I want to get that value from the person, and that value I want to give to this H2. Actually, this H2 here we have not given any actual text data, right? So the data I want to give in that. Yes, absolutely. That data is added here. That is the reason you are able to see something like So not only that, whatever the thing you want to add here, yes, you can able to add. For example, here I'm adding something like employee here. Yeah, employee is an object, right? So there I'm just adding something like employee name, something like that, right? So this is called your data binding from TS file to HTML file or component to template. That is two ways we can able to do. That is string interpolation, or the other concept here is property binding. And symbol we use to achieve property binding is this one. So in which whatever maybe the attribute name is there for our HTML tag. So for that attribute, instead of having that attribute normally, we'll be enclosing that attribute with particular value over there. So that what happens, whatever the thing you want to add to that particular attribute as a dynamic value, that is the variable name which is present in the TS file. So that value, if you want to add over there, yes, you can able to add there. Clear? So that is your property ID. So this is the way we can able to find the data from TS file to HTML file. So there is yeah, as we know, other way is also possible. That is from HTML file to TS file, or from template to component. So this kind of what I can say is data binding is also possible in your Angular. Yeah. So when it comes to this data, whatever I transferred from TS file, where is my TS file? This is my TS file. So this is string kind of data I passed, and this is another kind of data I passed. You can pass any kind of data you can pass. So yes, I can able to pass Boolean kind of data also. That is all comes under like primitive data, or even some complex like some what I can say, some object kind of data also I can able to pass. Even I can pass something like array as well. For example, here what I'm writing is there are some students, some array. I just would like to take as an example here. Here few names I'm taking. This is names array. You assume you can string array or whatever it is. Total 4 names here I'm taking. Now I'll have to display them in the HTML. So for that, I can open HTML here. On the top itself, I want to display that all the names of this one. Then in the color, I want to display them span. So here, I want to display them. So here I would like to write that array name. What is that array name again? Persons. Students again. Just would like to write that one. Students. Same. You can able to see the way we have written. The same way it is getting displayed over there. If you don't want that command, then individually you can able to access them. Now, if you write like this normally, then that will give by default all the values will be there, but those values will be displayed in the form of normal way, like comma. Just by the way you have defined in the same way it will be displayed, but you really want to access them, then using the index positions you can able to access. So if you want to access all of them at a time, yes, you can able to use something like some looping kind of thing also you can able to use. This is the new concept, like we'll be using loop in Java or C language or JavaScript or even TypeScript also we can able to use loop. That is inside the TS file you can write. But writing some kind of loop kind of thing in the HTML is a little bit different, and how we are using and that kind of thing. Okay, I don't want to start right now, but here individually you can able to access the data, okay, by using index position. So how to use loop in the HTML itself, that concept will be discussing in our next session. Clear? So this is about your data binding, and data binding is of two types actually in Angular. So that is one-way data binding, and the other one is two-way data binding. When it comes to one-way data binding, as the data has to be binded between TS file and HTML file, right? Or from HTML to TS. So that is the reason here two ways are there. One-way data binding also two types are there. That is from TS to HTML. I will write in a simple way: TS to HTML or HTML to TS. But actual thing is like component to template. This actually component to template. This template template to template to component. These are the two. So in this category, TS to HTML, that is what you all learned now. That have two types. One is interpolation, and to be precise, that is called string interpolation. And the next one is property binding. So whichever the property is there in the HTML file, the property like your attribute property, for that this value will be binding using this one. Here this one, using this one we can able to this particular syntax. We can able to also that string interpolation over there, and next is property binding, right? So next in next sessions we'll be learning how to do HTML to uh, component, or TS, or your template to component binding. So that is like if you do some changes, or if you write something over there in the HTML file, how you can able to capture that data into your TS. So that is what we are going to learn. Yeah. Once we are done with that, then we'll be discussing two-way data binding. Two-way data binding means at a time the data whatever people are entering in the HTML, that will get updated in the TS file. As it is the data updated in the TS file, the same value again will be displayed in the HTML. Immediately that will happen. Whatever you do here, that will definitely affect here, and whatever you change happened here, that immediately reflected in the HTML. Right? So that is called data binding. How to achieve that pattern? Right now we don't need to worry about that, and that will be discussing in our next session. Okay. So that's about this is about your data binding. This is very important aspect in the, and that's why I hope you are clear with this particular session. So as I told you already, I don't want to go start with the next one now itself. Okay. So I hope you are clear with this one. Else if you are having any doubts regarding today's session, you are open to ask if you have any doubt, or you can put in the chat. Or else if you are fine with the session, just let me know that you are clear with the session in the chat box, so that we can wind up for the day and see the rest of the things in our next session.